Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Airspeed Reads Naruto video. This one's going to be for volume 14 of the manga, which is called Hokage vs. Hokage. Here's our 3-in-1 cover page, a nice image of Sakura. I do think they should probably make a bit of a better effort at having the image here be somewhat related to the content of the story. I get it's not the actual volume cover of like volume 14 if you get the individual book, but I think they should try a bit harder to get it right. But anyway, this volume covers chapters 118 to 126, Detainment, The Life I Wanted, Hokage vs. Hokage, The Terrible Experiment, The Bestowed Will, The Final Seal, The Eternal Battle, The Time of Awakening, and Off Guard. And yeah, overall, really good volume. Focused very heavily for the most part, especially the middle of the volume, on the third Hokage versus Orochimaru fight. And that gets a lot of focus, a lot of different aspects to that I want to talk about. You get the backstory as well as some cool action. Lead up to that is kind of like, okay, we'll touch a bit on what Shikamaru, Naruto, Sakura, Pakun are doing. And then at the end, it's like, okay, here's where Gaara and Sasuke are, and there's also the setup of the Shino and Kankuro fight. So I'm not going to say a lot happened, because as I said, the focus is primarily on one thing, but it's quite plot focused, and so I definitely appreciate that, moving the story along very nicely. But yeah, the volume starts off with the reveal about what's in the coffins, and it is the first and the second Hokage, which kind of implies that, okay, somehow Sarutobi or Orochimaru couldn't summon the fourth Hokage. That gets explained, I think, a bit later on why exactly that couldn't happen, but their corpses, I suppose, are basically here, and it's revealed very quickly that this is Orochimaru's reanimation jutsu, the Edo Tensei as they call it, and he has brought these back to life. Later on it's explained how it works, in that for a normal summoning jutsu, it just requires a little bit of blood to summon something to you. But for this, because it's kind of bringing someone back to life, it requires you to sacrifice a life. And later on we get the reveal that inside these two is Zaku and Keen, the two members of the sound ninjas that were part of the tuning exams. They were sacrificed by Orochimaru to have the first and second Hokage fight for him. Later on he puts some kind of kunai with tags into the back of their head so they control him. Before that, they are actually talking to Sarutobi and talking about how you've aged, we've been summoned to fight you, Orochimaru meddling with forbidden jutsu and stuff like that. They don't really cover that the second Hokage, Tobirama, was the one who invented this jutsu, and Orochimaru's kind of like enhanced, perfected it kind of. Though I suppose they don't really go into a ton of depth anyway about that in the show. It just happens to be a thing that he was the one who created that jutsu in the first place. But yeah, that's about as far as we go in the first scene. We then cut and quickly have Shikamaru explaining the situation to the other three people with him, that we're being pursued by members of Orochimaru's group, and they're much more experienced than us. They also are kind of basically from Konoha. They know the area just as much as we can. We can't ambush them, so the only thing we can do is do a diversion, and I'm the one best suited here to cause that diversion. And so it's a big deal, because they kind of realize that the person staying behind is kind of going to be sacrificing themselves. They have some faith in Shikamaru that he can do it, but it's not too hopeful. But he does it anyway. He stays behind. He confronts about 8 to 10 enemy shinobi, captures them in his shadow possession jutsu, and it's very clear from the get-go that they're aware that he doesn't have a lot of chakra. He's not very experienced. They kind of know that he can't win this situation, that even though they're trapped by him, he can't win, basically. And just as the jutsu breaks, Asuma shows up to kind of save Shikamaru. So really cool moment as Asuma shows up, because it's the first time we get to see him fight, and it's really only one page. Yeah, it's like one page, and then on the next page you get the aftermath. you just get this idea that the way Asuma fights, at least here, is very physical focused. He has a unique weapon that he uses, these kind of chakra blades with the handles kind of having room for his fingers, and it acts as kind of like a blade on his fist, but also a knife. It's a very unique weapon. I don't think the show ever properly like explains what type of blade it is beyond it being like a made of a chakra, a metal that like kind of has good harmonic resonance or whatever with chakra, that you can make chakra pass through to make it like sharper for wind style users, like he's later revealed to be. But yeah, pretty cool weapon, and you just see he very quickly takes out these shinobi, saves Shikamaru, but does praise him that you've done good, but take a break. So pretty cool anyway. And yeah, a lot more kind of foreshadowing of, Sarutobi is old. The third Hokage is old. He's not as good as he could be as the battle actually begins. And it's really cool because we get to see just a bunch of very experienced, high-level shinobi fight. And it's straight into very powerful jutsu, which we've only really seen once before with Kakashi versus Zabuza. And even then, that was kind of very disrupted by a lot of talking and stuff like that. So we never just got to see like them fight for like a couple of pages or chapters. Here, it's just flat out, like we get most of the action fight in a row here. Sarutobi was revealed to be able to use a lot of the different chakra natures. He uses the fire style jutsu and earth jutsu. The second Hokage is using primarily water jutsu. And then the first Hokage reveals that he has a secret type of jutsu called wood style. That's not just one jutsu, it's a whole like different form like earth and fire. They don't yet explain, of course, what exactly wood is and how you get wood style jutsu and the whole Kekkei Genkai aspect of like multiple chakra natures forming a different thing. But it is the first reveal of it, and they make a big deal about wood style and that it's very powerful. It kind of temporarily overwhelms Sarutobi, and the two Black Ops members that are watching this battle from outside mentioned that this technique is kind of what gave the first Hokage the power to kind of form the Hidden Leaf Village during all the kind of times of strife beforehand. And it's very cool as you see it. It's literally a jutsu that like forms trees around you, and it's like he used his chakra as a life source as their kind of explanation for like how it works. But yeah, then it just continues, like it's just action, reveal. The third Hokage gets out of this deep forest emergence technique by summoning his own kind of summoning animal, who is the Monkey King Enma, and he very quickly transforms him into this this kind of giant staff thing called Nyo, Nyo, and then Orochimaru takes a sword out of a snake, and it's revealed to be the Kusanagi blade, and it's basically this battle of legendary weapons. Like we switch from jutsu battle to like weapon battles, and as Orochimaru gets involved, it's a lot of action, and I suppose the fact that that's 3-on-1 against the third Hokage, and he's still in there despite being so old, it's a very impressive display from him. But yeah, we get this idea that the Kusanagi sword is very powerful, and it's able to damage stuff even if they have very high like defense and stuff like that. It's a very dangerous weapon. They also kind of have this mention of the fact that Orochimaru mentions, I can't believe you're fighting without shadow clones. And the people on the outside kind of talk about, it's not that he's not using shadow clones, it's that he can't anymore, because, when he was younger he had enough chakra to use shadow clones all he wanted, but now he can't, and it's such a powerful technique that you're throwing away so much chakra. And it really makes you kind of go like, wow, Naruto is extremely powerful, or at the very least has a lot of chakra, if he is able to just like basically throw that technique around and summon like at times hundreds of shadow clones if he needs to. So the fact that like the third Hokage here is kind of shortening his life to summon 2, and Naruto can basically summon 100 and only really get tired a bit, is like deeply impressive, just to the insane amount of chakra that he has. But yeah, we just kind of continue. The third Hokage seemingly gets the upper hand on the other two Hokage and blows their legs off. but they instantly form back because they're kind of reanimated, and it's part of the jutsu that because they're brought back, they can't die as such. You have to. It's later revealed that you have to either use sealing jutsu or some other sort of technique to kind of do it, like trap them or something like that. You can't like just destroy them by like destroying them, I suppose. And yeah, Sarutobi then is just like, okay, I may have to use the fourth Hokage's jutsu after all. This setup for like, oh, he's got some sort of a technique that the fourth Hokage passed on to him, and that's how he'll get out of this situation. And we then get a bit more in kind of personal, in that like it's been very much set up in the last few volumes that, okay, I think we knew going in that Sarutobi trained Orochimaru, but we didn't really know the full extent of like why Orochimaru left the Leaf Village and so on. What's the exact issue between them beyond like you didn't select me to be fourth Hokage? Orochimaru rips off his face to reveal a woman's face behind it. And this is a big shock to everyone around him because they suddenly have this realization that you've mastered that technique. And I'm just like, what? When I first saw it in the anime, I was just like, what's he talking about here? And then you kind of get the explanation, like, as one of the legendary three shinobi, he's got to be way past 50 years old. This guy's too young, plus that's not Orochimaru's face. So, yeah, like, Jiraiya is another one of the legendary Sannin, and he looks in his 50s. Orochimaru, like, you know, he's an adult, definitely, but he's not, he doesn't look 50 the times we've seen him. So definitely something weird's going on here. And we jump straight into a flashback to, I suppose, explain it. You know, like, you've perfected that forbidden jutsu, and Sarutobi calls him, you terrible, inhumane fellow. And we cut back, I don't know the exact timing on this, it probably is mentioned, but it's at least, 10 years ago, I think, based off other dialogue. And Sarutobi and two Black Ops members find Orochimaru's hideout, and in there, he's just there messing around with a bunch of humans that he's been experimenting on. Horrible stuff is being done. There's like legs in jars all over the place. Clearly, he's killed a lot of people to perform these experiments. There's the flashback pages. And yeah, we just get that he's still working as Sarutobi walks in. And basically, okay, you've been... The idea is like Sarutobi finds out you've been seeking forbidden jutsu and experimenting on humans. That's how you've been like figuring this out. And Orochimaru basically explains his exact motivations, and it's really interesting. He wants to acquire all jutsu that exists in the world, forbidden and otherwise, based on the concept of, what about the people who invented color? What about the first person who first mixed blue and yellow together and created green? That's what I want to do with jutsu, with, hand signs, jutsu, chakra and stuff like that. He wants to be the ultimate being, but he can't master all of those jutsus in a normal human life. So he's kind of devoting himself first to mastering the immortality, the art of immortality jutsu. And so he can live forever, and he can master all of those techniques, even the ones that require him to like experiment on humans and do all this kind of villainous stuff. And it's then revealed we could come out of the flashback and be like, okay, so how it works is basically that I can transfer my mind and soul into a new body to keep myself alive. My old body dies, but me basically is just transformed into a new vessel. And he's looking for a new vessel. That's his whole plan. And Sarutobi quickly realizes he wants Sasuke Uchiha. That's the whole intrigue about Sasuke and Orochimaru. Orochimaru just wants Sasuke to be his next vessel, obviously with the Sharingan and stuff like that. And it's revealed that this is his second time he's changed bodies. So it's not the case that just he goes into like a 20-year-old and he then lives as if he's 20. Any body only lasts a certain amount of time, but we don't know the full specifics behind it. We cut back into the flashback and get this idea that the reason like this flashback scene didn't result in Orochimaru being captured is that Sarutobi kind of let Orochimaru go. That he suspected him of doing some bad stuff, but never wanted to believe it. He says that, I had such faith in you that, it was an era of conflict. You were a powerful, talented genius. I wanted you to inherit all this stuff. Um, but, and thus my indulgences have brought about these circumstances both now and then. And he doesn't kill him. That's how Orochimaru leaves the Leaf Village and goes off to join the Akatsuki and so on, form the Hidden Sound Village and so on. And he settles in the present day that now I'm going to make amends for the past. But the implication is definitely that that time when he let him go, he looks old in the flashback as well. But that was the last time he could have taken Orochimaru and actually defeated him. Now 10 years on, there's not enough time right now for him to defeat Orochimaru. Too much time has passed. Sarutobi's too old to just completely overwhelm Orochimaru. But yeah, he then uses Shadow Clone Jutsu, and Orochimaru mentions that you're shortening your life because he's obviously basically at the limit of his chakra, and him doing this is a big move. He then uses the fourth Hokage's jutsu. Really cool way they show this as you see all the hand signs about how it's actually done, and then the actual results of it, which only Sarutobi can see initially. So yeah, really powerful technique because he uses so many hand seals, obviously, and it's revealed that this is the god of death, but we still don't know exactly what it does. And yeah, we just get this really, really great moment, great sequence, probably one of my favorite in all of Naruto. I think that it kind of gets forgotten as a big moment, given all of the stuff that happens later on and even before this. But the first Hokage casts a darkness genjutsu. The place is all dark. Sarutobi can't see anything, but these three shadow clones are just kind of resisting as they're being attacked from all angles. They can't defend against anything. But he's just holding the position to finish the casting of this jutsu, as we get this idea that the village of Konoha is not just one organization to me. It's the people, the various generations of shinobi that are born and raised. They're precious to me, my family, and the visuals are really great as you kind of cut from Sarutobi as the pupil of the first and second Hokage, to him training the Sanin, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Tsunade. Then you have his students training their own, so Orochimaru training Anko, Jiraiya training Minato and two others, and the other people from that generation. You then have Minato training Kakashi and then two other characters who obviously we'll meet later on. We have a little shot of Naruto being born, young Iruka, and then Kakashi training Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto and Iruka, the rest of kind of Naruto's generation, like Shikamaru and so. Really great moment, and then we cut back and he's like, no, I inherited the will of fire, the first lord, the second lord of Konoha, and I'm the third Hokage, and it's the whole speech from the anime, I am the pillar of the village, and even after I die there will be another pillar. And it's him realizing, I suppose, the truly properly understanding now what the fourth Hokage did in sacrificing himself before, and now that he is doing very much the same thing, that this is what the fourth Hokage must have felt like during that incident. And it's revealed that this jutsu is called Reaper Death Seal, and he basically just quickly catches the first and second Hokage, their reanimated bodies, and grabs them and just very, very suddenly seals both of them in his shadow clones, and they are gone from the battle because of that. Really impressive moment, because they just obviously collapse into dust, and the bodies of Zaku and Rin are revealed to be in there. And it's just this whole difference in kind of mentality between the two of them. You have Orochimaru, who doesn't really care about human life except his own and extending his own life, versus the Hokages of the Leaf Village, who deeply care about everyone. And that is the exact reason why Orochimaru wasn't made Hokage, because he didn't at a base level understand this, and he still can't understand this, and in his mind he just can't get why him, as basically the most talented potentially of his generation, wasn't made the next Hokage. And yeah, so the shadow clones seal the other two, and they kind of disappear. So it's left with just Orochimaru versus Sarutobi. He grabs Orochimaru and is about to seal Orochimaru away in the same way, but Orochimaru resists because he stabs Sarutobi with his snake sword, and it's this big battle of will between, what will happen first. Will Sarutobi die from this sword wound, or will Orochimaru's soul be sucked out and kind of taken? Enma tries to stop the sword. Like, it's a lot of big stuff happening, and it's really well done. The emotion as Orochimaru just can't understand this idea of sacrificing your life for someone else, because he's all about just surviving to continue his goal. And Sarutobi reveals that this technique sacrifices the user's life. And I should also mention, before that, we saw the seal on the shadow clones from when they sealed the two Hokage away. It's the exact same seal that's on Naruto's stomach that sealed the Nine Tails away. So this is the jutsu that the fourth Hokage used to seal the Nine-Tailed Fox away, and in doing so, sacrificed himself to seal it in Naruto. So that's that kind of little explanation out of the way. And yeah, it's just a big moment as like Orochimaru is shocked when he finally begins to see the god of death ripping out his soul. But we end with just we cut away from this with just this battle of will, where Orochimaru seems to have a slight advantage as he's pushing the sword deeper into Sarutobi, but the grip on the soul hasn't fully gone away. And we don't come back to it for the rest of the volume, so it's really interesting. We get a quick scene with Jiraiya. It's just basically him arriving, squishing Orochimaru's giant summoning animal with his giant toad, and he talks a little bit to Ibiki, and it's just a nice little moment to show that Jiraiya is helping defend their village, after seeming like he wasn't overly concerned with the village before, but he is helping now. Then the rest of the volume is just focused primarily on Sasuke trying to catch up with Gaara. He catches up with Kankuro, basically decides that he's going to act as a diversion and face Sasuke, but then Shino appears out of nowhere. He wants to finish his fight with Kankuro because Kankuro quit during the actual exam. So he's going to deal with Kankuro while Sasuke goes after Gaara. Sasuke does catch up with Gaara, and his whole drive for wanting to fight Gaara is basically that when Gaara came up to Kakashi and Sasuke when they were training, there was this idea that Sasuke now kind of understands that there's something more to Gaara than just he's a powerful shinobi, that there's something like in him. He wants to know what Gaara is. So there's more here than just I want to defeat my opponent for Sasuke. But yeah, we do get the Shino Kankuro fight. It's not as good as the other fight that we got in this volume, of course, but it is a cool thing because we get to see like puppets versus bugs, basically, and a lot of poison kind of effects, chakra sucking effects involved here. It's the strategy of Shino versus the kind of tricks of Kankuro's puppets, and it's a kind of little back and forth. Shino inhales some of the poison, he's losing his strength, but eventually tricks Kankuro by kind of coming up with this really clever way to send his bugs down the chakra strings that control Kankuro's puppets, but that was just a trick because he was actually sending them up a tree behind Kankuro, and that's basically the kind of end of that fight. And it's just this idea that Kankuro's out of the fight, his chakra's getting sucked out, and then on the other side of things, Sasuke is fighting is just about to start his fight with Gaara once again, because Gaara has gone like full Shikaku mode, basically. Like he's like turned his body very much into Shikaku, as we see right here. And that's just the way the volume ends, with just Shino's fight is over, but he's sacrificed a lot to defeat Kankuro, and then the big fight's about to begin, plus the cliffhanger of Sarutobi versus Orochimaru for like the fate of the village, basically. So yeah, overall, like, excellent volume. My favorite character is Sarutobi, absolutely 100% from this volume. Just showing that even in his old age, he still has all of these jutsu, secret tricks, can handle the first and second Hokage in their prime, while Orochimaru is still there in the background. Just kind of kind of defying what everyone's kind of been saying about him a little bit, that yes, he is struggling because of his age, but he's doing a lot better than I think anyone expected. And just some of those character moments where he talks about the village and the different generations, you know, I'm the third Hokage, the pillar of the village line is really wonderful. So Sarutobi, absolutely favourite character from the volume. And then my favourite quote is is from Sarutobi. It says, "You spout nonsense. You're merely one leader in a long line of many for one lowly organization. Even your mountainside image will eventually wear away and be obliterated." And then that's Orochimaru saying that. And then Sarutobi's reply is, "The village of Konoha is not just an organization to me. In Konoha, every year, new shinobi are born and raised. They live, fight, and die in order to protect the village and those within its walls. Everyone in the village, even though we are not connected by blood, is precious to me, and they are my family." Really, really good stuff. My favorite piece of art, I have it listed here somewhere. Okay, here we go. This panel right here, I really like that image of when he first summons the Reaper Death Seal, the God of Death. Really good panel. But yeah, that is the volume review for volume 14. I still will be doing the reviews for the two Naruto storybooks, Kakashi and Shikamaru. Just have to get around to reading them again. But yeah, I'll hopefully try and increase the schedule on these. They have kind of been one a week for a while, rather than the 2 times a week I kind of said I would do. But I'll increase it as we go along. A lot of other Naruto stuff coming out. But yeah, other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.